the Clayman Institute for Gender Research at Stanford University. Reinvigorating gender equality in the 21st century.
Capitalism kind of got men before it got women, for the middle classes at least. You know, when we're staying home and we're out there struggling. And the culture of capitalism sort of came to define men. They came to define themselves by how much they earned and the like. So they were put in a more rough and tumble world, a more aggressive world, a less humane world, we would say. So is that the world we would be equal within, or is it our job to change that too? So what I'd like to do today is focus on one kind of transformation we could have in mind. There are many possible ones, and maybe in a question section we can talk about that. But that is the tilt in the balance, not just between men and women, but between the sphere of family community on one hand and the sphere of the market on the other. Are we moving into an everything for sale world? And is that where we want to be? I believe that we are moving in that direction gradually, and that it's the reason I think it's important for us to look at is that I think we're ignoring it. And we're ignoring it not because we don't see it. We're ignoring it because what we see seems so normal. And it's come to seem normal in a very gradual way. So what I'd like to do today is kind of share with you a journey that I have been on in what I've called on the market frontier. And I'm going to just tell you kind of what to hold in mind as you're on this journey with me. And that is that we're really talking about the convergence of three trends. One is the rise of women into the labor force. We're now virtually half of it. The second is the search for needed services so that we can be in the labor force and raise happy families. And the third is a kind of a tag-along, stealth cultural shift into what I would call a market zeitgeist, market spirit. Because the political climate is such, and the cultural climate is such, that we hear that the government can do nothing right, and that community is kind of astir as we move around and look for secure work. And but that the market can do nothing wrong. And so there's kind of a privatization of public life. We have privatized our prisons. We have privatized many of our schools. We're privatizing our libraries. And because budgets are so pinched, federal game reserves and parks, there's talk of selling that land to developers so that you can have the money for the public school, high school band. So there's a kind of a move of privatizing public life. And the question is, what's happening? Is that moving in without us quite flagging it into intimate life? So we're looking at the rise of women, needed services, and this third stealth trend. And what her journey is going to be on is through the confusing picture of that convergence, of those converging three trends. These days, services are more sliced and diced and specialized. And So here is another service that will scan through all the different babysitting options and vet them, and you can better make your choice. Or you can hire someone to come in and child-proof your apartment, or take those dangerous plugs out and teetering sculptures, and actually tell you what to buy, the most eco-friendly things. I talked to a woman who said, well, but if you hire someone to come in to tell you what to buy, how do you know she isn't an agent for the very products she's pointing at you to? Well, so then you'd have to get another service that helps you pick the right person. You got me. Okay, and then there's, this is one of my favorites. Welcome to Tinkle Tinkle Little Star. If you don't have time to potty train your child, you can call in a specialist. Or you can hire a birthday party planner, and who would have, let's say, an entertainer. And I'm going to tell you a little story here of a man who decided enough was enough. He wanted to draw a line. Now, this was too much commercialism. He barely saw his kids, traveled a third of the time. He wasn't going to hire a party planner. And although his little 6-year-old daughter had friends who did that, so he was going to, he got from the idea of party planning that there had to be an entertainer. So he blew up the balloons, he sent out the invitations, he put, pinned the tail on the donkey, and he was all prepared. But he also decided that he had to be, and he would be an entertainer. So he thought, what can I do? Well, he got a great big hat. He became Crocodile Dundee, put on, you know, these boots and Australian accent. And so you had, you know, a gathering of 15 little 6-year-olds sitting on the floor, cross-legged, and he was kind of stalking back and forth and talking about crocodiles and then how they were different from alligators. And then he thought, well, koala bears and kangaroos, and he sort of went through an inventory of animals, and then he ran out of things to say. And so all the parents sort of gathered, came forward, put their glasses of white wine down, and sort of gathered the children who didn't know what to do because they weren't being organized. They were used to being planned. So this all collapsed upon him, and a neighbor came forward and said, Michael, get real. The experts know what 6-year-olds think is funny. So it became a question as to whether that piece of knowledge was in the hands of the paid expert, or whether it was up to you as a dad to know your kid's tickle bone. You know? So, and he conceded it. Well, you really do need an expert, he said. But at the end of the story, it was his daughter, whom I talked to, who said, well, first we were embarrassed about Dad, then we thought it was funny, and now I'm so proud to have a dad that really jumps in with 3 feet. And of course you have a coach. There are many different kinds of coach. There's how to find a job coach, how to keep a job coach, how to transition to another job coach, how to quit your job coach, and then there's how to find a partner, how to stay with the partner, how to leave the partner. And there's so many different kinds of specialty within coaching that there's something like a GP, an all-around coach. So, all right, suppose you've found someone, then you might, even before you get married, take a course in marriage. This is described as the single most important investment that you will make. So again, we're looking at language. Okay, and then there's the proposal. So you wouldn't be alone on that romantic night when there is the ring discovery moment. But no, there are 5 specialists, in the bushes who are with you and wishing you well and making sure it goes well. So this is sort of an idea that it's a performance, that it can go well or not well, and that you have to pay for it. And of course, wedding planning has entered the culture and films and is familiar to us. All right, then there is, that box of photos you've never sorted your family photograph. Well, you can hire someone to come in and sort them, and in their own handwriting, right? Uncle Fred on the left, get them all sorted out. And personal shoppers is now familiar. Then we go to Eldercare, and many different forms of it. One of which is to be a visitor to your elderly parent if that elderly parent lives at a distance, so a friendly, loving visitor. This is a small facility, a home-like facility for the elderly, and then there are nursing homes. After death, you can hire a service that helps you grieve. These are the Shiva sisters who will come in and organize the ceremony. Finally, you can hire someone to tend to the grave of your beloved. Grave site maintenance. The passing of a loved one is a very emotional and trying time for family and friends. The need to respectfully honor your loved one with dignity while cherishing their memory is important. Always remembered grave site maintenance is a service that will help provide you with peace of mind. So you can do that. You can also hire someone to take the ashes of the deceased on a launch off of Long Island Sound, and whether the bereaved are there or not, drop those ashes in the water. You can kind of see what we have here. It's kind of a confusing, I think, culturally confusing thing. But these are services among which we might, any of us, choose. Many things we can't do, working full-time outside the home. And this is kind of the, I would call this kind of a market frontier, because increasingly there are sliced and diced little moments of intimate life that are the object of service and expertise. But now, so we have women moving out to work, and we have services specialized such as these. Now we have a market zeitgeist. Here's the third part of that trilogy. There's a new language out there. Rent a friend. And hire a friend with the click of a mouse. So you don't have a friend, and you can actually think that the renta goes together with this word that we call friend, okay? And the language is spread to him. Now he looks a little unsure. He's saying around the house chores, little fix-up, maybe take someone to a sporting event. Not quite clear, but anyway, he's using this language. There's RentAHusband. This is a chain. Letting someone into your home can be a nerve-wracking experience. You need a person and a brand you can trust. That's why RentAHusband is here. And so it's bundling the trust you feel for an intimate with the trust you feel for a brand. We are as part of this tag-along cultural trend that has infused itself into services and the rest of life. As part of that is a market way of seeing. And we are not automatically mowed down by this market culture. That would be a simplistic way of looking. I think we're brilliant adapters. We actually are extraordinarily adept at drawing lines and doing a peculiar work of keeping personal life personal. And in the book, I outline a variety, sort of 5 main ways that I think that are kind of mechanisms of defense, that are ways that we creatively keep personal life personal. I'll just give you one example of substitution. Many people I talked to had a new oven. I don't know why, but a lot of people had a new oven. They just did, and they talked about it. And, come see my new oven. Okay, so I would see the new oven. Then it turned out they didn't cook anymore. So what was it with the new oven and the not cooking? I began to think, well, this is a little bit of a substitution. That you affect, you hold up, you find a fetish that represents the thing that you miss and are relinquishing. Well, that's, I think, kind of an example of one way that we try and keep personal life personal. Another is I would say, actually lying, white lying. It's a very sweet story of a woman who outsourced cooking, who actually went and brought in this great meal that was all cooked previously, and had it for her friends. And she wanted to give them the gift of cooking for them. But they began, of course, to ask, oh, it's delicious roast, where did you get it? And she thought, oh no, well, it's such and such a butcher's. Well, of course, the guests went to this butcher, and the butcher said no, she hadn't gotten it there. And so, as with Tom Sawyer, sort of the lie unwound, and she was very embarrassed. But in a way, it's something sweet about it, because she was trying to hold on to the idea that giving involves time and effort, and she wanted to give that gift. She didn't have time. So those are just a few examples. There are many others. But so that's an example. Grace is an example of drawing the line between us and the market.
The Clayman Institute for Gender Research at Stanford University. Reinvigorating gender equality in the 21st century.